Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Jamie Spiker. Jamie is our county treasurer here in Warren County, and it's good to see Jamie. She's been here a couple times over the last couple years, and when you ran for treasury. The treasurer is a constitutional office. Every 4 years you have to face an election.
Correct.
So we wanted to do a good job. So what we've been, there's been kind of the taxes and things have been in the news here lately, about collections and evictions and everything else. And Jamie's job is really not about taxing us. It's just about putting the money in the bank, right? I mean,
that's right.
First of all, let's tell us what the treasurer does. Then we'll talk about why you're here.
Okay. So the Commissioner of Revenue assesses the taxes, and then...
And that's...
Sherry
Sowers, right? That's not her.
Assesses the taxes, and then the treasurer's office collects what is taxed.
Right. So you don't have any responsibility about how much someone's got to pay. You just got to pay.
Correct.
So that's what we're going to talk. So that's what you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about the paying part. So I noticed, like you said, during COVID, there's been a lot of changes, and people have held off on, being sending Guido and Angel out to collect for them. You guys are not that heavy-handed, I know, but you've been really generous, I think, to the county residents as far as, collections and things. But I noticed that the word is that, things are going to change a little bit. So why don't you fill us in on what's going to go happening in the next, 6 months. We just got our tax bill for June, or we just paid that. So we'll be expecting a new one here pretty soon. But tell us what's going to happen between now and then.
So probably in the next 6 months to next year, we're going to, as long as everything is still, the economy is still moving in a forward direction.
Right.
We are going to get heavy on the collections again, mainly for the people that owed prior to when COVID hit.
Right.
Just because we laid off on this during COVID, because we don't know everyone's situation on where they are financially. And I couldn't morally go after people knowing that they might not have the means, because I don't know if they're laid off at that time.
Yeah, I think one thing about collections, we've all have had situations where it's been a little tight. We all had that. And I think probably one of the things that people don't do is they don't think about calling you.
Correct.
And setting up, just letting you know, hey, I want to pay you, but I can't. Or maybe I can pay you less than what I owe you, and I can stretch it out in some payments. I mean, is that something people can do?
Yeah, so we take partial payments. We don't set up any kind of proper payment
like
arrangement.
A payment book, right?
Yes,
yeah.
A formal payment arrangement, because we're not set up to do coupons or reminders or anything like that. But we always will take partial payments on anything. Now, it doesn't restrict you from getting penalty and interest, but it's a lesser amount because it's not on the full amount that you were taxed originally.
Right. That's kind of like, I can remember when Mr. Smedley was the commissioner, and we were pushing for this twice-a-year tax thing. I said, well, can't we just pay our taxes monthly? He said, absolutely. You can pay it. You can come down and pay it anytime you want. You don't have to wait till you get the bill. And so, if things are a little tight, we know it's coming in December. Either set some money aside now, or just come down every month and pay that $50.
Yeah,
people do that. I mean,
yes, we take prepayments. We actually have a few that come in and pay $5 a week.
Right. Because they know it's coming.
Exactly. So they want to pay less at one time instead of coming up with it.
And some people have a hard time, if I don't get rid of it, I spend it on something, or somebody else comes along and takes it. You know what I mean? Another need, or there's always an emergency.
Yes.
Always an emergency. So what kind of things are we talking about on collections? I mean, what do you collect taxes on? I mean, most of us just think about property taxes, but there's more. I mean.
In our office?
Yes.
Yeah. So we do a business license. We actually collect for the state for the estimated and state income, dog tags, but mainly it is business, personal property, and real estate.
Right. So there's a lot of taxes, but I think we getting our money's worth. Well, I think so, absolutely. We hope we are. So what else? You got a long list here of stuff.
Yeah.
So why don't we look at the top and start on down and make sure we cover everything that we want to talk about.
Okay. So the different kinds of collections that we have for personal property are DMV holds.
What is that?
So that will restrict you from renewing your tags until you pay the taxes. So it's a good way to get people in to pay.
That's an attention getter in her when all of a
Yes.
sudden, oh, your tags are expired, and well, you can't get new ones until you pay for your old ones. Basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then we hold your state refund money. So if you're getting a refund on your taxes, we are allowed to take
Apply
that.
that. Do you apply that to the taxes owed, or you just hold it until they pay something?
No, it gets applied
Applied.
as soon as we get the money.
Okay.
Yes. And we can do bank liens and employer liens. Those are effective in some ways, but we don't always know who, for instance, who you bank with.
Right.
But we do have access to the Virginia Employment Commission to find out where you work.
And you get those garnishments, right? Is that how that?
Yes, and we can actually set up payments for that. And we don't like to take someone's whole entire paycheck.
No.
So we are willing to take payments, and we know that they're coming because they're working. So it's
Right.
guaranteed we're
Sure,
going to be getting
sure.
payments. We can also do distress warrants. So we can have the sheriff's office pick up vehicles for us and won't release them until it's paid.
And that kind of runs up the tab too. They charge you for storage and towing, don't they? It's almost like, don't go there because it's going to cost you more money. It's cheaper just to come in and set up a payment. Again, it goes back to that communication. If they just
Correct.
call you ahead of time, they can normally fix most of these
the
problems.
time, yes, everything can be worked out.
Yeah.
Now, I know we did a couple of vehicles back in 2015, and the people paid on the spot, and we haven't done that since. But that is something that I want to utilize everything that we can.
And these things really don't happen like that's due tomorrow and the next day you start doing these things. There's a process that you go through, and these are like the last resort. I mean,
Correct.
that's maybe not true, but that's kind of what you look at. We don't do these initially. There's a lot of steps in between before we send the sheriff to pick up your car. Right?
Correct. Like this would have to be if they owed several years, and it would have to be a significant amount.
Right.
We're not going to go take someone's car for $100.
Right. Maybe Smedley would. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't do that. Oh, it's so funny. We got one more thing there. We're going to talk about that one.
So we've also, the board has passed a ordinance that says to get a building permit or zoning, that anybody that's involved in that building process has to have all of their taxes paid current.
I think that's something that over the years past really aggravated a lot of people because there was a lot of, use the word, builders that owed a lot of real estate developers that owed all this money on these properties, and the county was just letting them slide and keep doing new stuff. And people said, well, how can they get this and they still owe that? And they owe, they were they were the top 10, most of them. If you looked at it, it wasn't like they owed you $100. They owed you thousands of dollars and had been on there for 10 years,
Right.
And so this has eliminated some of that process.
This is definitely helping. It has brought in a lot of money.
So if you're trying to get a building permit, all those anybody listed on there is going to have to be paid up before that. Maybe that's why the building permits get held up sometimes, just going through the process of getting this done. So, I want that building permit right now.
Right.
Well, we got a process now that explains why they don't do it in 10 minutes. So you're the one that's holding up all these building permits. All right. So not Jamie. All right. So let's go on to the next one.
So for real estate, that one's a little bit more difficult because after 2 years, we turn that over to, we have Pond that does half of the alphabet.
Right.
And then we have a taxing authority that does the other half. And that's because we definitely want to keep it local and so that they're getting business. However, it's such a large amount. They're not capable of having everybody. Right. We are working on auctions, so they will be coming up within the next 6 months.
Right.
But that's a process because it takes them time to find if there's errors, if they've passed. And I know people get discouraged when they see the same people, especially for the real estate, for the top 10
Right.
on the website. But all of that is a process. Most of them are being worked on, or could be in payment arrangements.
Right.
They are taking care of it. It's just a process to get to where we need to be, either making the payments and they're still on the list, or we are looking into selling them.
Yeah, most of our government and how things work, our laws really rely on compliance. And it's the old 98-2. It's like the law enforcement. I mean, their customers, if you want to use that word, is only 2% of our population probably. And I'm sure it's the same way here. You probably get a 98% compliance, and that 2% just won't pay, or can't pay or delay paying or something. Off the top of your head, do you have how much money do you collect a year? I'm just curious. I mean, it's up there. Can you tell us, or is that a secret?
No, I would say, just because I've been working on reports for the auditors,
right.
Just in personal property, I would say at least $14 million.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I mean, because we got a big county budget. So technically, all that money, it doesn't all go through the Treasury's office, does it? Like when we get money from the state and all these things, does that all go through your office?
Yes, so I have to account for all of that. So
every penny that comes in, you know where it is.
Well, I keep track of all the revenue, what goes in and goes out. And then the finance department keeps track of each department's budget.
Right. Oh, so you get to look at all the money. So it is probably more than $14 million.
Yes, that's just
altogether.
Collected, within the last year on personal property.
Oh, just on personal property?
Yes.
It's a lot of money. And then those little dollars add up.
They do.
Yeah. So how much does people owe us? Could you tell us?
I'm trying to think.
It's in the millions.
Just for 2020 in personal property, like I said, because I'm working on these
we're
reports.
working personal property.
I think it's close to $2 million.
Yeah, $2 million.
But that includes 16 through the first half of 21.
Yeah. How long do you go before you just write it off?
5 years for personal property and 20 for real estate.
Before you, and that's pretty desperate. I mean, they have to be completely no assets left to take or do anything.
Yeah,
You
we
just
try.
You just can't scam the treasurer for 5 years and get a free ride.
No.
Okay.
And we try. It's difficult if they move,
Sure.
or if they're not working, and we just can't find them.
Right. I know, especially on personal property and vehicles. If you're a renter, that's moved every 6 months, it's hard to keep track of where they're at. And I know, I give you my brother did that. He got letters from me all the time for owing you for. Well, I sold that car a long time ago. Yeah, but you never paid the tax on it. They don't. He could never get that in his head. If I don't owe it, if I don't own it, I don't owe the tax on it.
It doesn't
But you did
go
own
away.
it. It doesn't
Right.
go away. Right. So if you sold that thing, you still owe the money you didn't pay the first time.
Which that brings me to
See how that
something
segued?
on my
That was
list.
pretty
Yes.
good. Yeah.
So we tax our by how it's titled at the DMV.
Right.
So if you move and you don't change the title garage jurisdiction to your new home, we're going to continue to tax you.
Right.
That's is what the Commissioner of Revenue's office pulls the information to be
Right.
taxed is from the DMV and through deeds at the clerk's office for the real estate.
You hear people say, "Well, I sold my car. When did you sell it?" Oh, in May. Well, I think it's if you own it on January 1st, you pay tax. Is that right?
We actually prorate as long as you're moving to another prorating county.
Okay.
So if you get rid of it in May, you would only be taxed through that date. For instance, Shenandoah County doesn't prorate. So if you move to Shenandoah County during the year, you would not pay Shenandoah until the following year, and you would continue to pay here until the end of the year.
All right. So just because you sold it, you don't get out of paying.
Sold it, yes. Excuse me. Only if you moved.
Right. If you moved, but if you just sold it,
You just pay up to.
Pay up
you
to the
only
time.
Owe
You only
for
owe
the
while you
time
own
that-
it.
Correct.
right,
And as long as you take it out of your name at the DMV.
right, yeah. And you communicate it because it takes a while sometimes to get stuff.
Especially right now.
Yeah,
yes.
it does. Yeah. Oh, what else you got?
That we typically on a normal billing year, and I have to say the last 2 years have been a little bit different with COVID and with our computers going down for quite some time.
Right.
So it hasn't been the normal, but typically we send out at least 4 bills a year. So we have a delinquent notice at the beginning of the year that's for prior years. And then you get billed for the first half. That also includes delinquency for the prior years. Then we
That
send
comes
out,
like in June sometimes.
it usually comes, yes, in May, due in June.
Yeah, right.
Then usually one in August for delinquent taxes, which includes the current year's that's delinquent. And then in December for the second half taxes for that year, and it also includes prior years. So we're notifying people. Plus, we put it in the newspaper, on the county website, on the Facebook,
And on the Royal Examiner.
and the Royal Examiner. So we try to get the word out there
Sure.
as much as we can to let people know. But we also know that things get lost in the mail. But the taxes are always due at the same time,
Right.
in June and December.
Right, right. And if you have a problem, call Jamie.
Yes.
Call your office anyway.
I return phone calls.
Yep.
Sometimes I might not be able to get back to you the same day, but I try to, or email me. I always respond.
Right.
Every email that comes into the office, I respond to. I don't put it off on other people.
So you're aware of what's going on.
Yes.
Okay, good job. Good job. Okay, we got another 2, we got 10 more pages of, no, she didn't have that much. Page 2, look at that.
see.
Okay. She came prepared. She knew what she was going to talk about.
I did. Ways that we've helped out during COVID,
Okay.
not doing collections.
Right.
The Board of Supervisors passed a resolution in 2020 to extend the due date by 2 months to try to help people out. They did not do it for this year only because things are getting back on their feet
Sure.
and people are paying. We did have to extend it again this year because of the computers being down. It was like a domino effect. It pushed them back on setting the tax rate, and then we couldn't get the bills out in time required by law. I can't send a bill out a week before they're due. It has to be at least 2 weeks. So we extended the penalty date till June 21st. And hopefully that we won't have any problems after this COVID and little issues. But
You're prepared.
we're prepared. Yes.
Great.
Because
great.
right now we outsource our bills. It was faster, and they also have a program with the post office, so they can find people better than we can. We try. We have a few ways to try to find addresses,
Right.
but it is more sufficient.
Sure,
Although I
sure.
am looking into maybe taking that
Right.
back over if my budget will allow me to.
Right.
Because they got out correctly and on time, but it is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work maintaining a mailing list because, we do it here, and it's amazing. I've been mailing to you for 3 years, and all of a sudden the mail comes back, and wait a minute, how come? And then you start looking, and that takes forever. I look, well, wait a minute, I mailed that 2 years ago, and I just now got it back.
Yes.
And sometimes you get your dead letters back in a week. Sometimes they're a year late. So it's
We've
hard
had
to keep
more
up.
than 2 years as
Yeah,
well.
it's hard
Yeah.
to keep up a mailing list. And then I remember this one customer we had. I mailed it. It came back. I mailed it to that address. It came back. I mailed it to another address. It came like 5 addresses in a month. I finally got him on the phone. Well, yeah, I moved. I said, yeah, thanks a lot. But people. We are very mobile, and it is hard to keep track of addresses. It's not as easy. Most of us around here probably stayed here forever, but there is a section of our population that's very mobile.
Yes.
Very mobile.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, I'd already talked about updating the DMV and the clerk's office. And just so that the county is aware that the office follows Code of Virginia and the county ordinance and resolutions. The penalty date, the interest dates, how much is charged for penalty and interest, all that is set and it stays the same unless
Right,
there
right.
is some kind of ordinance or resolution or different Code of Virginia that's changed. So my office, we follow that.
So
We
call you
can't
up.
change
So if
it,
I call you
just-
up and yell and scream at you and make you cry, you can't change it.
No.
So be nice to Jamie and her staff. She's only doing what the law says, and you're not adding
Correct.
to it, and you're not taking it away.
And not that we don't understand people have different
Sure.
situations. We care. We
Right.
do care.
You can be compassionate, but you can't change the law.
Correct.
And I know you are. So if you have a problem, just communicate with people. I think that's
Yes.
really what it is.
Please reach out. Don't let it keep going. There's always something that can be worked out.
Exactly. You got anything else?
Nope, that's about it.
That's it?
Yep.
No, nothing. She only had 2 pages. I think it boils down to this. If you have an issue with paying your taxes, just reach out to Jamie in her office and communicate. And that doesn't just apply to your treasurer. That's really everything in life.
Yes.
If you got a problem and you can't pay your bills, your credit cards, or whatever it is, first of all, stop digging the hole deeper and reach out and talk to your creditors, the treasurer's office, the commission. Let people know what's going on and see if they can help you, pull yourself up. I think there's a lot of people in a lot of situations other than just financial that if they just reach out, our families are so disjointed now and mobile. They're not, it's not like 100 years ago or 50 years ago or 10 years ago. Sometimes you don't have those close family to help you. So reach
Yes.
out to our community and our staff here at the county office, because trust me, I know there's a lot of help. We talk to Michelle Smeltzer all the time at DSS. I mean, they're in the helping business. And
Yes.
And I think same way too is, the old saying, we're from the government, we're to help you. But I think in your case, maybe there's a little truth in that.
Can't make it go away.
Can't make it go away, but we'll just try to soften the pain a little bit.
Yes.
And, give you some payments. Well, you're going to pay eventually, but let's just work it out and see if we can help make it a little less painful. Is
Yes.
that what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
Well, and she'll give you a smile. Isn't that great? Anyway, Jamie, I really appreciate it. I know you're in a tough position. I know you get blamed for everything Sherry does at the Commissioner of Revenue. They blame the treasurer for her taxes going up, but, wrong office, click. I can just imagine you doing that. But I know, you get blamed for some things, but I know that even the commissioner, she's doing a great job, and again, a lot of these jobs are, they're controlled by state code, county code, and
Correct.
And you don't make those decisions. You're just the people that implement them.
Correct.
So let's keep that in mind, and don't shoot the messengers. When we get that all the time on the Examiner, they blame us for a story. I said, we didn't. We just reported what happened, so and kind of get blamed for things, but don't shoot the messenger. Well, Jamie, again, we appreciate everything you're doing. You're doing a great job, and say hi and congratulations to your staff. We haven't heard anything bad about you, so that's good.
Well, thank
Nothing
you.
to report.
Thank you for having me.
So that's good.
We're
Again,
gonna
just
keep it
reach
that
out.
way.
Again, reach out to Jamie. We'll put all her contact information here below the video here, so you can do that. And just a reminder that taxes will be due December 5th. And you'll be
Correct.
sending the notice out in November, so happy Thanksgiving. Thanks again, Jamie. Really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.